Hey guys, long time no see, long time since I've been on camera, but I thought I would come on. Got little Monroe here. I'm just holding her. We're in my office. So we're hanging out on my couch in my office. It is my lunch break and I've been playing a little catch up on my friends' videos, and several people have brought home their very first silicone baby, like ever. So it's exciting times, and so I thought this warranted a video. So here I am, guys. I haven't seen you guys in forever, so my apologies. I've got like sort of my acting in gear here, but I'm generally, most of you will know that I don't really love being on camera. I'm just not someone who likes to be face to face with the camera. I see myself on Zoom meetings like all the time, and it gets a little old seeing myself. So yeah, I generally don't typically put myself on camera, but here we are. I wanted to hold Monroe. Someone had asked me left a comment on one of my previous videos, I don't remember which one it was, that they wondered why I never hold my dolls on camera. And this is a common question that I have gotten over the years. Also along the lines of like, why don't you role play? We never see you holding your babies. You never feed your babies. You never give your baby a pacifier and this, that, and the other thing. It's like all of those typical interactions that I don't do. So my apologies for not being that type of collector. It really is just my nature to, if I'm gonna hold her, I mostly do it off camera. I don't typically need to hold her on camera. I enjoy her so much all on my own. I don't need to share that part of my enjoyment with, like, you know, in a video with everybody. You know, it's kind of, I hold her because it's purely enjoyable for me. I don't know, but I do get why people ask. I get why people want to see me holding her. They want to have a reference of like how big she is if they're not as familiar with the sculpt, or you know, it's just fun for other collectors to see us interacting with our babies. She's so cute. She does hang out here with me in my office. It's really lovely still being able to work from home and also have her here in my office where I can, even if I'm not picking her up and holding her, I can look over, like I'm doing this because literally in front of my hand to the side over here is where her stroller is. And that's where she kind of hangs out with me during the day. You are just the cutest thing ever, and people like to see you. So I have been super busy, guys. I have shared this with you in my previous couple of videos that I've just, you know, took on a new role at work, still doing my previous role. So I'm doing like double duty. I have a ton of work happening at my job, and it's been hard to really find the time or the energy to really want to make videos, especially in the evening when I finish up my day, because sometimes I work really late. But with all the buzz, all the excitement of friends and seeing fellow collectors bring home their very first silicone baby, I wanted to share a little story with you guys that a lot of people don't really know about me. Most people that I correspond with on a regular basis and that have known me for a bit of time see me as a silicone collector, primarily a silicone doll collector, not necessarily a reborn collector. And that is true as of late, right? And when I say as of late, I mean over the last, how many years? Probably the last 5-6 years easily. I haven't really collected a lot of reborns. You guys have seen me only primarily bring home silicone babies because that's kind of, that's my joy. That's what I love. I love the realism. I like the way they feel. I like the way they look. And when painted properly, these babies are the most realistic of all dolls I've ever collected, especially this particular one. Monroe is very special. She just had her 3rd year anniversary with me, which is crazy to me. I still just look at her like she's new to me. Still, after all this time, I'm still in awe of her. I still enjoy her. She means the world to me. But the point of this video is that I want to share with you guys that I've not always been a silicone collector. There was a period of time where when I was new in this hobby, when it was new as a hobby, I only would collect vinyl reborns or, or one-of-a-kind clay sculpted babies. And that was actually my first joy, was the one-of-a-kind clay sculpted babies that I really, really enjoyed the most. They were one of a kind, nobody else had one, but they were very delicate medium, right? They're breakable. And then I became more primarily a vinyl reborn collector. Also, very durable. The painting is fantastic. You have a lot more to choose from. And even early on, I was still very picky. So, you know, I was always seeking out that ultra realism. And then came along silicone as a medium. It was brand new, you know, it was wowing, it was scary, and it was like so many things when it first came out in the doll hobby. And I remember for the longest time, you couldn't convince me to buy a silicone. Like, I was not gonna put my money in that. I'm like, there's no way it can be as realistic as a vinyl reborn. And for a number of years, I avoided it. I avoided it like the plague, guys. Like, I wouldn't even go near a silicone. It's like too much work. I have to powder this thing. I have to, lint sticks to it. And to me, in my brain, I was like, I just don't want to be bothered. That's too much work. They're delicate. You know, what if something happens to them? I was absolutely scared to death to bring one home and to actually have one in my collection. Wasn't happening, you know, and luckily, after some of my fellow collectors and friends that I had, you know, grown to, you know, really know very well over the years, one in particular, she convinced me because she actually discovered and turned me on to Claire Taylor's work. So Claire Taylor was not my first silicone doll I collected by any means, but after finally delving into a, you know, not super expensive silicone doll, my first was a Vicki Ebling baby. It was a partial, like a 3/4 partial baby that had full arms and a torso from like just above the belly button down in silicone, and then just the very top of the body was cloth. So that was my first experience with a silicone doll. She was done really nice. But you know, early silicone, they were really stiff. You know, they were platinum silicone. Dragon skin is what a lot of them were called, because it's the most firm of dolls being made in silicone at the time, because it was a new medium. And I moved on from there. And my friend, she suggested, she's like, hey, check out this Claire Taylor doll. Like, Claire Taylor's really good. And she had collected at least one or two by the time I actually, you know, dabbled in the Claire Taylor silicone baby pond. Like, you know, I was like, okay, I trust her. And I think for a lot of us, it takes a little prompting from a fellow friend and collector who may have gone through the experience first, who can kind of help guide us and reassure us that, you know, silicone isn't as scary as we all think. You know, the first silicone I had wasn't sticky. She was fine. Her painting was nice. Was it as nice as what, you know, I had in Reborns? No, not by any means. But you also have to realize that early on with silicone dolls, it took a while for artists to develop a technique to be able to layer and bring depth to life in their skin tones. You know, like it's an art in itself. Silicone is really, it's different. And I've heard artists talk about this, is why I'm saying this. It's very different painting a silicone than it is painting a vinyl reborn. It's a different medium. The silicone adheres with the paint differently. It's a different thing. And so it took some time, you know, early on for artists to be able to really develop that skill. And one of the first artists that I noticed that could do that was Claire Taylor. And I started following her very early on in her silicone baby doll making, and saw that she could bring depth and life to silicone that no other artist at that time could. You know, it's still very early. This is years and years ago, guys. This is not current times. There's so many artists to choose from that can paint silicone and bring it to life and have, you know, layers of depth. You know, back then when I had first started collecting silicone, it wasn't like that. But I've not always been keen on silicone. That's the funny thing to me. I find it ironic because I can't imagine not having a silicone doll at this point in my collecting. Back then I would have said you're crazy that I would ever be this way. You know, it just goes to show how much we change in our collecting journeys, and some people change or some people don't. Like it's different. Everyone's journey is really very unique, and it's a one-of-a-kind thing. You know, everybody does it differently. But it just also goes to show that there's no wrong way to collect. There's no wrong medium to collect. But 9 times out of 10, when a collector finally does take the leap and buys their first silicone, if it's a nice silicone and they've you know, had some help along the way and they've invested in a nice, well-painted, really well-done doll, they're usually hooked. And it's not just about the painting, and I'm hearing this, you know, from the few people that have been getting their very first, and this is what just cracks me up, I think it's awesome, is that it's not just about the depth of painting and the realism and everything else. It's the feel. It really is. And this baby, like when me and my friends that have similar dolls, you know, that might have one of the edition babies, like Monroe, you know, who is a Claire Taylor silicone, Dwayne edition, awake. We laugh because people don't quite understand when we say it's like having a real baby in the house. When I first bring home a doll of this quality and this soft and just so realistic, it really is like a baby, a live baby is lying in her stroller, hanging out in my room while I'm working in my home office. It's the most lovely, wonderful thing that you really can't explain to somebody. It's one of those things that a person has to experience it on their own. Like, we can describe what it's like, we can describe how they feel, but really, truly, until a collector experiences it on their own, they can't quite ever grasp it, you know? And that's always my goal, is for every collector out there that really wants to experience that type of realism is able to find that special doll that they can really thoroughly fall in love with, enjoy the experience of, and get what it feels like to have this type of feeling in your arms. It's just indescribable. It really is. I've tried to describe it to so many friends, so many fellow collectors, and I don't do a good job of it. You know, I just don't. I can't put into words what it feels like, and that's the amazing thing. And my hair is just, we'll just get it out of the way. It's like dangling right around her poor little face. You don't want that in your face, do you? No. But there's just nothing like it, you guys. And I also heard, you know, the mirror test. I've talked about this with y'all many times. It's a real thing, and it's a great way to kind of, I've always done the mirror test with like every baby I've ever brought home, I won't lie. When I'm holding a really beautifully done baby, like I wanna go hold the baby in the mirror in my bathroom. Doesn't even need to be, it could be either of my bathrooms. You know, I just want to see what it looks like and how their heads look, they're rooting. As you're holding them, like she looks like she's like gazing up at me when I see her in, you know, in video when I'm holding her, or if I'm doing it in the mirror. She looks like she's gazing up at me like a, you know, a young baby would. They would just, they focus on their mommy, especially if you talk to them. But it's a really good way to test, like, does the baby look real? Like, if I walked outside my door, would someone think this is a real baby I'm holding? The answer for me has to be yes, or else I don't bond well with the doll. And that's crazy to some people, but it's my way. I've always done it for years. I've always done it. And just like taking them outside, I want to see them in all the different lights. I want to see my babies, especially the ones that I really bond with. I want to see what I look like holding them. I want to see what it looks like for me to be carrying them around, and it's fun. It's so fun. But I still do that. I just had her in the bathroom with me because I'm like, she just looks so cute. She's in her little, you know, very barely pink loved baby sleeper, and I have this really, you know, blush star pink star blanket. You might not even see the stars, they're so faint. But just, she's so cuddly, and it's super hot here, but we have our air conditioning unit blasting because we've had record highs here. Triple digits yesterday. Today we're in the high 90s, and it's very humid. So my air conditioning unit is pumping along, so it's a bit chilly in here. So I'm keeping her in a sleeper because I love her best in a sleeper. It's also what makes her the most cuddly. I love this baby in a sleeper. It's my favorite thing. She likes to be in a sleeper too because she doesn't want to be cold. But you know, you guys always see me touch her head. You know, her hair, I love her hair. That's why I never put hats on her, because I ultimately love how her hair looks and I don't ever want to cover it up. Even though I'll buy hats left and right for outfits, I never put them on her. She's just, I love her hair rooting. I think it's truly like a newborn baby's. It's done really well. One of my favorites heads of hair that I've seen Claire do. But yeah, it's just truly such a blessing when you find the special doll. It's truly a blessing to experience the firsts of getting a silicone doll. I miss that. That's the one thing I'll tell you that I kind of miss, because you know, it's been so many years since I've actually had a new, my first silicone baby. I almost forget what it's like when you experience those first feelings, those first things you do with them. But I will say that when I brought home Monroe, I did video document all of my first experiences with her, even though she was definitely not my first silicone baby. But now I experience the joy of watching my friends bring home their first silicone babies, and it just makes me so happy for them. But it helps me kind of somewhat relive through them what it's like to experience the jiggle for the first time, that squish factor that I once experienced as well, and it helps me relive that, and I get to do it vicariously through my friends and fellow collectors. It's wonderful. But I'm thoroughly enjoying seeing everybody's videos of their first silicone babies. So thank you all out there who are sharing this with all of us in the doll community, because it's much appreciated. It's one of the best ways to really enjoy the hobby. If you're not bringing home regularly new dolls, watching your friends do it and seeing them so happy, it's the next best thing. It really is. And I'm just overjoyed for everybody bringing home their dream babies, whether it be a silicone, whether it be a vinyl reborn, a one of a kind, an American Girl doll, anything, any doll out there. I am all about people experiencing it and enjoying it and sharing it, and that's really what this doll community is all about. So I just had to come on and share with you guys. I'm going to keep this under 20 minutes. Hopefully you've enjoyed my little story, but I haven't always been the joyful silicone mommy collector. In fact, I was very, very afraid of it for a really long time. So I think that friend of mine, she was wonderful and instrumental in me actually delving into the silicone pond, so to speak. And I think it's great when you have a friend to help you along and help guide you. I think it's wonderful. And we all need friends out there that help us, enable. It's the fun of it. But here's little Monroe. I hope you enjoy seeing her. Hopefully you'll enjoy seeing me, which is a rare thing on camera. But happy Monday to everybody, and it's hopefully going to be a great week. So thanks for watching as always, and thank you for the support, and we will see you all soon, guys. Bye-bye.